morning. We're glad you're still with us on Morning at NTV. And if you are just joining us, welcome on board. You are watching the #1 premier show in the land. And of course, we are coming to you live from Wandegeya at Fire's Cafe Bistro, where we are broadcasting. There is a lot, and as you can see, we've been made comfortable with some cocktail juice. And my guest is Cissy Nalumansi, a film producer. She'll be talking about her journey in film, her story, and how it's impacting others to be able to make inroads in this particular industry. Many thanks for joining us, Cissy Nalumansi.
Thank you for having me.
How are you? You're looking lovely on a Friday.
Thank you.
What's going to happen later?
If you would like to take me out, so that will be a date. But if you don't, then I'll go back to the chambers of my life.
There you are.
Yes.
A man has just been given the honors. No doubt. You're a film producer.
Yes, please.
I'll be very direct and specific. Tell us, who is Cissy Nalumansi?
Okay, so Cissy Nalumansi is a writer and a director and a producer. In the past, I used to do a lot, all-around filmmaking, production design, editing, but then I realized I had to focus on things that I'm really passionate about, and I realized that is directing and writing. But on the previous project that I just did, which I'll talk about later, I also did, I produced it, so that makes me a producer as well.
Wow.
So Cissy is born in a family of 5 siblings. Mother and father, my father and mother separated a long time ago, but we are still in good relations with each other. And I have a bachelor's degree in IT. So growing up, I thought that is exactly where I'm going to be, up until when the passion couldn't let me settle there. So it stole me away and took me into film, which I didn't actually have expertise or knowledge for. So I used to write as an unconventional writer. I remember when I was at the university, many other students would come to the labs, to the computer labs, to code, just as the norm is, and I would be busy writing scripts. And I didn't even know how to write, but I just wanted to pour out whatever I was feeling on my heart.
Wow.
And that is how I began to be a writer. And when my mom realized that I wasn't giving up on writing, she introduced me to a gentleman called Dan Chigundu. So I interacted with him the first time, and he said, oh, she has a niche for writing. So he started pumping me with projects. But if you watched us 5 years ago, you knew we didn't have budgets for anything as filmmakers. So I don't remember getting paid for any of the things I did.
Wow.
But I'm grateful for the experience, because it's the reason why I'm here today.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, that is me.
That's beautiful. IT, film production, the transition is, that's a whole cousin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
It's inspirational, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm a failed poet.
Oh, I want to venture into poetry.
I'm a failed poet.
Oh, you a failed one.
That's what I'm saying.
Why are you saying it proudly?
People rarely come to terms with things that do not work out. I'm one guy who quickly comes to terms with what can't work, and then I adopt things that work. So I tried out a little bit of poetry, and I was so horrible at it. And then that is in comparison to the works of some of my contemporaries, and I had to choose and say, you know what, you guys take it on, take it on. So in your case,
yes, please.
How did you envision the film industry at the time you were starting out? Is it something you looked at and said, here I am, I want to be big, I want to grace the screens. If I don't grace the screens, I want what I write be fodder for the film industry. How did you look at things during your time of upbringing?
Oh my, you should have seen me when I started. I wanted to be a star. I wanted to be painted on all the walls of the streets. Yeah, I think many of us start our journey in film like that. And when I was on screen for a few films I did, I realized it wasn't enough. I needed to venture into money making in something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I started to point my eyes where the money is, and I realized that it is behind the cameras. So that is how...
Wait a minute, you just told everyone that
Yes.
the money is behind the cameras. What is Chris doing in front of the camera? I've got to change.
Try the other side and then weigh for yourself which works. But on my side, I realized that the money is behind the camera when you do much more than just being on screen. And it doesn't apply to everyone, but I realized that was how I was going to get the money and still continue to tell stories that I'm really passionate about.
Wow.
But when I joined, I had this Hollywood version of how film should be, in Uganda.
Oh,
I won't say a feminist, but I empower women even in my stories. I am an underdog storyteller, but
Wow, underdog story.
yeah, I like to empower people to do the best of their ability, and you will see that in most of the films I did, The Village Champion, Kela, Namudu, they are all just pushing a character to do something more with their lives. And I looked at this as a platform for me to be able to tell my version, my side of the story, even though I am getting money out of it. So the version of Hollywood eventually started to die down, and I'm grateful that
As you came face to face with the reality.
with the reality of, yes, and I was grateful that on Kela, I got Hollywood executive producers to be behind me. They funded my project, courtesy of Kemi Ondo Kotino, but it is not as dreamy as when I envisioned it would be when I joined the industry.
No
so
doubt.
yeah.
You speak very passionately about what you do, how you do it, and the general outlook of
Yes.
the industry.
Yeah.
When we look at most female film producers or stakeholders in this industry that are female, we do hear so many stories of challenges, and some are able to overcome them, others capitulate in face of these challenges. Could you give us an overview of the challenges you face, and in particular, if you face any challenges, given the fact that you're a woman? Do you face particular challenges that are unique to you and not to the gentleman?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And that goes back to when I joined the industry. The thing is, the men's club exists.
The men's club.
The men's club exists, and there is a table of men where men sit and make decisions, and you have to be a man in your capacity as a woman to be able to stand on that, to sit on that table. So the challenge,
Patriarchy.
yes, the patriarchy system is very, very significant in this country, and the idea that a woman would come and look at me and how skinny as I am, and you are coming to give orders, because as a producer or director, you are supposed to own the production. Yes, you tell people what they are supposed to do, and sometimes you have to shake them down. You have to tell them, no, that is not the way you're supposed to do this. And sometimes they would definitely come to you because obviously maybe you look pretty, so they're like, yeah, let me work with her, yeah, she won't give me a hard time. And then the time for giving instructions come, and the pretty goes.
Does that mean the prettier you are, the greater the advantages?
Just like beauty is an impression. So people would definitely want to, they by default fall in with you because of how you look, but like everybody says, it's the character that makes them stay. So it is an advantage. You bring people, you attract people to want to associate with you. But the challenges of that I've faced is, in some cases, when you have to, for instance, go and talk about your project in a company, or pitch an idea to someone, yes, they would ask you kindly to be escorted by a gentleman, because somehow there you feel more validated. Like, you guys hover over and you make your ground firm. So definitely for me to prosper, I need you as a gentleman to be behind me to, it is the same thing when they say, I cannot marry a woman from the film industry because the marriage won't last. It is it is a misconception that we are facing, you know, like as women, either you succumb to the pressure and of the patriarchy system that is, or you stand and therefore you stand on your own.
To the pressure, it means you fail to demystify or rather break down these stereotypes.
Yes.
You should be able to stand your ground as a lady, and especially if you're doing great work, quality work. There is a difference sometimes when you're not doing quality work, but you are advantaged by the beauty and everything that comes with it. But particularly, the challenges are enormous. We can have a whole documentary discussing the challenges that women face. As a film producer, you have your favorite films, the ones that have been produced by other people, but most importantly, the ones you have worked on. First, give us an idea of your collection of films and also share with us which one is your favorite. Okay, so when I was in Nairobi with the Multi-Choice Talent Factory, we did 2 films called Ensulo and Promises. Yes, and Ensulo won at the Kalasha International Film Market. I wrote Ensulo, and Promises won in Nigeria. I was lucky I was in Nigeria at a time when the Africa Magic Viewers Choice Awards. I think that's taken you places. Yes, it has. And I was lucky to pick that award. I have that award in my house, so every time I look at it. So, but the thing is, those were projects that kick-started my major passion in film. But then when I came back home, I had done the Village Champion. And because I was away from Uganda for a year, I thought I am not going to have anyone show up at the National Theatre. But I had a full house. They did. You had a full house. Both pavilions. National Theatre is frequented by people who appreciate good content. Except when it's your show and you've not. I've been to that place when there are 5 people in the theatre, and that is so heartbreaking. So I thought that would happen to my show. Wait a moment. Yes. Somebody stages a show. Yes. They come into that gigantic space. Yes. And there are 5 people. Believe me, it is heartbreaking when people don't stand up, because for some reason it makes you feel like your work is not worthy. Yeah. But I'm grateful that Village Champion, even after a year when I was away, it did really well. My understanding of a Village Champion is so hilarious. What is the Village Champion in the way you look at it and how you produce that movie? What is it about? So Village Champion is a story about a guy who comes from Pakanyi, deep down in Masindi. It's a true story, and he comes to study and champions in studying, even when he had to fund his own studies. So it's a story of a guy who was born in a family of 12 people, 12 siblings, and he breaks every barrier, all the odds that were against him to come and achieve a bachelor's degree. He's right now doing well. He's a veterinary doctor. And so it's based on a true story? He is at the university, Makerere University right now, and he's a lecturer there. So I was very inspired by the schematics of his story, and I said this would touch someone. Yeah, and then I did Kela, which is funded by 545. And I was lucky to have Tika Sumpta as one of my executive producers. Tika Sumpta, if you've watched Tyler Perry's films, Haves and Have-Nots, many of those, and many other producers that came behind me. But the films that I'm really passionate about right now are Namudu, which I just did. It's a commission by DSTV that I just produced recently, and I got my friends to watch it, and you know how friends don't really support our many times. All right, very quickly, how do you rate Uganda's content and how it has been approached? In a word, are people appreciating content? They are starting to. I think we've upped our game over time, and consider I write Sanyu. I'm one of the writers for Sanyu, but I saw where we began and how people are passionate about that show right now, and that is very, very empowering to know that people are really watching our content. All right, the story is amazing. We can always write a documentary about it, no doubt. We shall, of course, engage for more platforms to be able to share this amazing story. Many thanks, Cissy Nalumansi, for sharing your story, and best wishes in your endeavors in a film production. That has been Cissy Nalumansi, a film producer, sharing her story as part of efforts by Morning at NTV to champion the arts industry and everything that is going on in there. Let's now go to
let's go to Dennis Bide.